So I've been using the Anbernic RG35XXSP for about 2 weeks now. I want to give you guys my thoughts, some of the issues I found, some of the good things I found, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. From this point on, I'm gonna refer to the device as the SP. So there's no way around it. This guy is straight up a clone of the SP, more or less, just same kind of shell design, display, button layouts, just think of it as a modernized version of the SP, as if the SP, if it was sold in today's time, you know, this is probably what you would expect, at least I would expect. It'd be something like this, where you have a nice 3.5 IPS display, you have a 3300 milliamp battery in the back that's removable as well, and you can charge via USB-C at the top. So you got all the modern amenities. You got, a better screen, backlit screen that's much better than the original SP that I played on. And you got custom firmware like MIUI, which I'm using right now. It's quite good. I haven't tried with everything, mainly with connecting with the micro HDMI connection there. So I haven't tried that, but other than that, I've pretty much used everything else. But I will say this device, it's mainly an indoor device. I've tried using it outside, but you can't really see on the screen. If you do a little searching, you'll see other people show the same thing. This thing does get pretty bright for indoors. However, it's not the greatest outdoors. That's just the nature of it. The display is not that great in terms of just peak brightness and stuff like that. So if I can show you guys right now, this is the maximum brightness. I'm not gonna adjust the coloring and stuff on the camera just so that you guys can kind of tell how bright it gets, and then I'll switch it right now to the dimmest option. So MIUI does have the ability, you can use this middle button, the modifier button, and then volume up and down to change the brightness. So this is the dimmest setting, and you guys can see it's dim. You can still see it, but yeah, it's a little bit dimmer. This is kind of like medium settings right here, but yeah, you guys can see you can change the volume stuff, and then when you hold the button like so, you can just change the brightness. So objectively speaking though, this device is better than the original SP in every single way. It has extra buttons here for the shoulder buttons. The buttons are placed well. The main body is thicker than the original SP. I don't have it anymore, obviously, to show, but believe me, it is definitely thicker, especially if you look at pictures online. SD card slots right here in the top, at the bottom here. One for your OS and one for your external SD card, which I highly recommend you guys do the setup if you guys decide to pick up this device. So I opted for the transparent black shell just because I was thinking, okay, if I'm gonna be carrying this around with me, kind of being a little bit reckless, if you will, with the device and not trying to take care of it as much, I wanted to pick something that wasn't going to scratch and could kind of take the beating a little bit, just because the fact that the screen's kind of on the inside, when you close the clamshell here, you're not really worried about damaging anything on the inside here. So yeah, I think in terms of the design, right, this is why you would want to buy this device. This form factor is probably the best hand feel, I think, for this kind of size device. So in terms of this color, it's a transparent black. The texture itself is not rough, but not smooth. I would say somewhere in between, maybe leaning a little bit towards the smoother side in terms of the texture. You can definitely feel there's something there, but again, it's pretty smooth. You can just rub your finger across. I did a first impressions video of this device. You guys want to check it out below the like button there. I did mention that it does only come with one SD card slot in terms of the card that comes with. And that does come with games, so you can just buy the base model and then just get your own SD card, which I highly recommend doing. I don't recommend getting the other option that they sell, which is they come with the OS card and then as well as a separate card. I just recommend just doing it this way, so you can choose the card that you want and then upgrade that way. So let's talk about the sound. The sound is quite good. I think in terms of just, you're not gonna really get in the way of the speaker here. It's right in the middle. Your hands don't really, get in the way. They're just placed like this, right? So kind of away from the speaker here. Versus if you had like on the bottom, for example, I don't think you would get that same effect. And because it's front facing, the sound is kind of, hitting you directly. So, and if you're not a fan, if you're on the subway or something like that on a bus, somewhere quiet, you don't want people to hear, and all that stuff, you can, plug it into your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack and you're good to go. So performance-wise, I've been mostly playing GBA games. I've been playing a little bit of PS1 games as well, but for the most part, I've just been switching between the two systems. I believe this device can play N64, but as you can see, there's really, it's kind of hard to play an N64 game with only a D-pad and face buttons. You have the shoulder buttons which work, but again, I don't think this device, if you're getting it for N64, I don't think this is that device. You might want to get the H version with the horizontal form factor, because then that way it does come with the two joysticks there. But I think this form factor really excels for GBA, PS1, those type of games where it's D-pad centric. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Minish Cup. I never played that game when I was a kid, so I'm really happy I was able to pick this up and just play this on the GBA, just kind of like living that nostalgia vibe of 2000s. And yeah, this device really does that for me. And throughout my time playing with this device, I haven't noticed battery heating. I know some people have reported that issue. I think it's because they're pushing this device really hard, and GBA games don't really push that hard. Same with PS1, I didn't really notice really heating issues. It does get warm in the bottom, but I would say no more warmer than a phone. And actually, I would say most phones I've used when I play Android games on them, they get way hotter than this thing. So I think it's relative. It just depends on the type of game you're playing. So if you're playing N64, I don't know why you would pick this device up. This is kind of that niche device in terms of performance, right? You really want to just be playing, GBA, PS1 type games. The display itself, it is a 3.5-inch display, but the aspect ratio isn't exactly a 3:2 Game Boy Advance, but it works for me. It looks pretty good. I do have another device coming in, which I'll do a review soon of, which is that form factor, that aspect ratio. So I'm really excited to try that out with that new device. So, okay, so let's talk about the price. So I bought this thing for about $60 USD. Had shipping costs, which was like $19. It did come from the US warehouse, which means that, it's already here. And it does charge more. It's like $7 more versus if you bought it from China, the China warehouse. So it's the same exact model in terms of just what's loaded and whatnot, but I think that they do charge more because it's being stored here in the US. But I think $12 or $9 is quite expensive, just because the device itself is already $60. So for example, 19 is quite a bit different from 12 or $11 or whatever, and that's about a third of the price. I think that's kind of like my complaint with this. And if I were to order again, I'd probably order like multiple devices and then just try to get them to, basically save this shipping cost there, or maybe try to do a group buy and something like that. Maybe try to save a little bit shipping costs, because it is quite expensive, I think, in my opinion. So let's talk about the form factor. I really love this form factor. I don't know, it's just nostalgic. I definitely grew up in this era of Game Boy games, played the original Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. And then this is really the first device I owned, and my sibling kind of like, before that we would share, but now, this is that first device I owned, and I was able to just play by myself awesome times. And, growing up, didn't have a lot of money to afford a bunch of games. So, now being able to go back and play those games and play it on a form factor that, you grew up with, it's super amazing. I think this is that pocket device where I'm carrying it everywhere with me, everywhere I go. It's really easy to just put it in your pocket. It is a little bit thicker. I don't mind. I bring a sling bag anyways, so this fits really well inside there and doesn't take up a whole lot of space when folded. But when you fold it out, you get a really nice experience just holding it, and your whole thumb can just, in your palm, a bit of your palm can rest on this device, and the back of the device, right? You can hold the entire thing and not worry about touching the screen or anything like that. You're just looking at the screen, and it's just like a little mini laptop, if you will. And yeah, it's just awesome. And the hinge so far, of course, long term, you're gonna have to see how this is holding up, but so far, it's been great. It has the magnet on the front. I don't know if it was needed per se. I I wish I could just take it out and test to see if it's gonna fall without it, but I don't think so, because the magnet itself is not very strong. You can just do this and it'll like wiggle out and whatnot, but I don't think it's I don't think it's gonna be an issue is what I'm trying to say. One thing to note though, the buttons are clicky, like I mentioned in my impressions video. I would say these are the most clickiest, the select and start button. They're very clicky in that regard. So I think, in terms of that, it's all right. I don't mind it personally. I think that there might be people that would mind in terms of just how clicky these things are, and you can modify it. There are guides online to do that, but personally, I don't find that a huge problem. So one of the issues I did notice was that the device does get pretty scratched up pretty easily. I'll show some B-roll here, but you'll see that the device does get pretty scratched up, even with this black transparent model, which would hide scratches pretty easily. But I can imagine on a silver device or something that's light, that's has a paint and then the coating underneath is like the dark color or something like that, it's gonna get super scratched up. And I know that that is sort of that experience with the GBA back then, but personally, I don't think that that should be something that you're looking for. If you're looking to spend, good hard-earned money to, buy something like that, you want something that's objectively better, in my opinion. And so if that's the case, you would want a device that doesn't scratch as easily as this. And maybe they could use a different coating or maybe additional coating, I don't know, but it does hide it. The black does hide it pretty well. You guys can't really see it unless it's like direct lighting, it's reflected in a certain angle. The main thing for me is like, does it scratch the screen? Well, I mean, this thing's closed, so it's not gonna scratch the screen at all. So I think this is that if you're worried about the device in terms of the screen, I think this is the perfect device, right? And I don't even have a screen protector. So I'm just going naked with this thing, and I don't mind it because, well, I mean, it's not gonna get scratched. I don't mind so much that the outside gets scratched. So yeah, overall, I really love this device. It basically is replacing my Mio Mini Plus. Mio Mini Plus is basically the same device in terms of battery and specs and what it can play. And this thing just blows out of the water. I mean, for around the same price, I know the Mio Mini Plus is a little bit cheaper now because it's been out longer, but in terms of like when it both came out, they're about the same price. And I would definitely get this device over the Mio Mini Plus at this point. It's just easier to hold. I mean, it has so many cool features. I mean, the flipping thing is, I don't know if it is a feature, but is it a gimmick? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys think that's a gimmick or not, but I don't think it's a gimmick. I actually think there is function, right? You're able to get a lot more surface area to play with it, and I'm really happy with my purchase. I hope you guys liked what I thought about this device so far. I'm really excited just to keep playing with this thing, and if you guys want to see more content like this, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help me know whether you guys like this type of content I'm putting out. Let me know down in the comments below. Give me a like and sub. It really would help me out quite a bit, just because then I know, hey, I should keep making this kind of content. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time. And with that, see ya.